In this episode, I'm going to talk to you about how to stay centered in this volatile, ever swinging life. We've got ups, we've got downs, we've got all arounds. Life will kick you all over the place unless you stay in your center. So, if you want to stay in your center, stay tuned. I'm Adam Kiddoo, and it's time to master the art of real heart alignment, where you live, work, and play from your personal power as energy aligns, your gifts flow, and life simply works. These life-changing conversations are designed to help you to see what you're not seeing, hear what you're not hearing, and to be who you're not being, as the world needs more heart-centered leaders now more than ever. Are you ready to say no to living a half-hearted life and say yes instead to boldly living from a place of real heart alignment? Welcome to the Adam Kiddoo podcast. What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Adam Kiddoo podcast. Now, first of all, I got to say thank you so very much for listening, and thank you so much for those of you who have left a rating and review. We're going to be doing some fun things over the next few months, and we're going to choose at random to just give some stuff away. So if you haven't left a rating and review yet on iTunes, please do so you can get entered into win some cool stuff. And I'm reading each and every review personally because I want to soak up this good energy into my heart so that way I can give more. And that's going to be what we're talking about a little bit today, is also, giving and receiving. And what I call, or what is known in the book, The Kabbalion, as the pendulum swinging, right? Because in life, a lot of times we're riding the highs and we're scraping our knees on the lows, and then we're back up high and we're back down low. I saw my life from this energetic standpoint to where it was almost like clockwork. Every 2 weeks, I would be on top of the world, seeing so much possibility. I could just feel it, like there's nothing that can stop me. And then all of a sudden, little by little, inch by inch, I would just kind of like fall and crumble and get in my own way until I was on rock bottom again. And then I had to go again and muster up the courage and fight and claw and scrap to get to this place of possibility where everything is open for me. And then all of a sudden, I'd wake up a couple weeks later and I'm at square one, rock bottom again. And I started looking at things, and actually I was early on, I started asking myself questions, disempowering questions. I started buying into the story am I bipolar? Is this what bipolar is? I mean, I'm high and I'm low. I'm high and I'm low. I'm high and I'm low. The more I looked at it and observed it, not put labels on it, not trying to figure it out, not wrestling with it, not trying to outdo it or force myself in another way, but just observing it, it lessens its grip on me. And there became a standpoint in time to where these swings would go out to a month, and then I would hit rock bottom. And then they'd go out 2 or 3 months, and then I'd come crashing down again. And then I just kind of forgot about it altogether. Then all of a sudden, probably like couple years down the road, after I haven't been experiencing this at all, this was probably in 2018, they started coming around every 2 weeks, every 2 weeks, every 2 weeks, every 2 weeks. And I started getting wrapped up and wrestling with it and questioning myself and asking disempowering questions. And I was in a troubled place. I was frustrated. I was losing ground. I was losing sleep. I was second guessing everything that I was doing. Then all of a sudden I'd be on top of the world, and then I'd be crashing down. And what I realized is, through reading this book called The Kabbalion, I realized a couple things. One is, if we swing up way high and we get excited, we're on top of the world, right? Most likely, unless we create that as a new way of being, as our center point to where we're excited all the time, which some people are. Some people can stay excited, right? If I keep that as my new norm, then I can stay and start that as my 0 point, which I'll talk about 0 point in a minute. However, if I just get excited and I'm top of the world, naturally, the flow of the universe, in and out, yin and yang, there's bound to be a swing to the other way, the pendulum of life. And so you guys might be, in this sharing, you might be starting to see some of this in your life as well. High and low, high and low, high and low. And there's a few things to be said here. One is, there's this glass ceiling sometimes that doesn't allow us to get too high, because we've figured out, and through stories, and actually had a conversation with my wife at one point. She was just like, when things are going well, I start looking at where's things going to go wrong. Right. So she was already experiencing this even back in high school. She was like, when things are going really well, I knew things were going to swing the other way. Right. I asked her, I was like, hey, look, is it possible that you can just stay in a powerful state, stay in a high vibe? Is it possible then that you won't have these lows? Because she was going just like I was, low, high, low, high. So you guys might be seeing a little bit of this yourself. And the whole concept of the glass ceiling is, if you look, and let's just take a crystal clear example. If you look at, let's say, your income over the last 4 years and then divide it by 4, I dare to say that's your glass ceiling. That average income is your glass ceiling. And until we can energetically expand and grow beyond that glass ceiling, you will stay under that glass ceiling. And even if you do go above it a little bit, you'll average things out. And I was doing the exact same thing, and it was eye-opening to me. And I started looking at it. What's my energy of this law of average here? And it was subdued. It was, it was the swinging up and down, up and down, up and down. And I asked myself, what if I stay, hold fast, set my intention point and my ground zero point above my glass ceiling and stay there, create that as my new norm? And that's exactly what I've done over the last 2 years. I read a book, or I read a quote in a book that said, feel good now and keep feeling better. Right. So there's a difference yet again between, and look, this is a slippery slope. A lot of these conversations we're having are a slippery slope. I'm not telling you not to embrace the good moments. Right. If you do have something to be excited about it. Live into it. But why not stay up for a little bit longer? Why not stay up and start to create that as a new norm for you? So that way you don't have these swings, right? Stay up, stay high vibe, feel good now, and keep feeling better. And so inside my heart-centered selling mastery program and my method that I've created, a foundational pillar, one of the 3 pillars of the heart-centered selling mastery method, is all about powerful presence. And inside that pillar, one of the things that I cover in a great scope, I would think, is being centered in your power. There's so many opportunities, so many reasons to give your power away. I mean, it's hard pressed to go on social media and not want to jump into an argument with somebody, right? But this arguing energy, this energy that you put out, is naturally going to swing the other way, and you're going to continue to swing. And now this could easily go in the line of talking about stoicism, right? But what I'm not doing here, and I want to make sure to mention this early on, what I'm not doing here, I'm not avoiding feelings. I'm not suppressing experiences and emotions. I'm more centered in the experience of everything. And here's the thing, and I'll just get real with you guys. There's been a couple things that have happened in the last year that probably could have had me swinging way low, which probably could have had me swinging way high. Because when you swing low, you swing high, but I'm going to have to swing right back down low, right? Because it's going to average itself out. It's going to continue to swing until I can center myself in my strength, in my power. And my wife and I had 2 miscarriages over the last year. And this was a different experience for us, right? Because we tried to have a baby naturally for about 2 years. And we did IUI, did not work, did that 4, 5, 6 times, something like that. And then we did IVF, which we had to invest tens of thousands of dollars to get the little man here. And we had a success, right? And then all of a sudden we got pregnant naturally, pretty much right after, the missus was rested and healed, and, and the little man was off to the races and things like that. It just happened very easily. And what happened is we were kind of just taken aback by it. And my wife, I know she got very excited about it, right? And I did my best to stay, in a neutral place. Not that I wasn't excited about it, but I wanted to stay in a neutral place about it. And in doing so, when we had a miscarriage, I was able to be a rock for her. And yet again, I'm not suppressing my emotions, and I felt what I needed to feel. Right? She had this big swing, and it was very tough for her. And I'm sure, not taking anything away, I'm sure it's a hugely different experience for women than it is for me. But I just knew I needed to stay in my center. I needed to stay in my peace. And something wild happened. So I've had visions for a very long time about having a girl. Like I've just seen it in my mind over and over and over and over and over again. And so we didn't get the embryo, or excuse me, the miscarriage biopsied or anything like that. So we didn't find out what the gene was, and we didn't find out what went wrong or anything like that. We ended up having another miscarriage about 4 months later. And this time we did run some tests, and the baby came back normal. Not quite sure what was going on, but at that time, to be, yet again, real, vulnerable, honest with you guys, my wife and I were not in a great place. We were butting heads, our energy was off, and we just had a big disconnect. And I know it's actually kind of wild. I had a conversation with an entrepreneur who helps with infertility. And she told me, she said, "Hey, look," she said, and this was a year probably before we had our losses. She said, "Look, there's a lot of babies. Okay, you guys, I get weird. I get wacky on these. I get woo woo. So, it is what it is. This is what I experience, and I hope to, in these conversations, to where I'm being vulnerable, being open and honest, that I can help you to see what you're possibly not seeing in life as well." And she told me, and it's not just that she told me. I had this feeling of knowing that she knew what she was talking about, not analytically whatsoever, because there wasn't like persuasion, influence. She wasn't flashy or anything like that. I just knew. And I talked about knowing in previous episodes. So I just knew. And she told me, she said, "Look, there's more toxicity on the planet now more than ever." And I believe, I haven't done the studies and stats, I believe there's more miscarriages. I believe there's more trouble with women getting pregnant than ever before. And we're not just talking about the chemicals, pollution, even like, my wife and I, when we were trying to have a baby for 2 years, we started looking into things. It's like, wow, the shampoo we have has a scent, perfume has scents, hand soap has scents, all this stuff has perfume in it. And this is actually bad for your reproductive system. And it's crazy that people even, I don't know, it's just wild that people even wear perfume and cologne. It's just wild, right? It's just, look it up. I mean, do the research. It just makes absolutely no sense, but there's money in it. Anyways, back to the story. So she told me that. And I knew when things didn't work out the second time, when we had our second miscarriage, that it was our energy. There was no doubt about it. It was our energy. The baby was like, "Y'all better figure some stuff out. Y'all better just get centered and take a little bit more time and work through some stuff. I'm not coming this time." And we did find out that that was actually a girl. And it was one of those things to where I was in the doctor's office with my wife. We kind of knew things were going south. The baby wasn't hitting the marks and wasn't growing at the rate that we would like to see. So we went back in for an appointment, a checkup, and the baby there was no heartbeat. And in that moment, I could have got all up in arms. I could have got frustrated. Why me? Why us? What's going on here? I could have had a swing to where it's just like, oh man, this our only chance of the girl? Because when we had IVF, we had 4 embryo babies that were good, and they're all 4 boys. So it was like, was that our chance at a girl? Is that my vision? Is everything like, is that over with now? And it was wild because even though my wife didn't think we could get pregnant naturally, I knew we would have a girl. I just knew it. And so I could have got wrapped up in this. Was that our girl? Was that our shot? Is that our only shot? I still don't know if we're going to have a girl. We still might. We'll see. You never know. But here's the thing. I had the most wild experience in that doctor's office because I was centered. I was in my power. I wasn't tuned out. I wasn't numbing out. I was fully freaking present. And I connected with my baby girl's energy. I connected with a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful soul. And the message I got was, I'll be back. Now, I don't know if that beautiful soul is going to be one of the little mans coming in. I'm not sure how all that happens. I'm not too wrapped up in needing to know all the answers and all that. But it was a beautiful experience for me. And it gave me so much closure in that moment that yet again, I was able to be a rock for my wife. And when I say be a rock, that could be misconstrued as cold, stone-like, dead inside. But I was a rock in my strength, in my power, in my center. And so how many times are we giving our power away? How many times are we swinging this way and that way? Even as entrepreneurs, as business people, as parents, so many times where it's just, we got frustration, we got joy, we got frustration, we got joy, we got frustration, we got joy, that we can't even experience life because we don't even know where the hell we are half the time. But when we can focus on being at 0 point, and I want you to see that 0 point can be wherever you set it. 0 point doesn't just have to be your natural state as you feel it today. You can set 0 point above, like I said earlier, that glass ceiling. So you can continue to feel good now to keep feeling better. And I also did this with money as well. I started really feeling like, hey, what would it feel like? And this was back when I was in debt. What would it feel like to have $10,000 in the bank without that debt, right? Because I was managing the energy of debt. It's a whole different ballgame. I feel like it served a purpose though. I feel like it allowed me to tap into energy more and to handle what was to me perceived as pressure. And yet again, pressure is just a label. It's not like there was actually physical pressure, even though I felt it. What would it feel like to have $10,000 in the bank? What would it feel like to have $100,000 in the bank? Like viscerally feel it. Can you get to this level of feeling, this awareness, to feel what that feels like? I can. I know exactly what it feels like. What would it feel like if we're stretching more to have $1 million in the bank? And sometimes there becomes this gap where it's a little bit too big of a jump. If you don't have $10,000 in the bank, you don't know what that feels like. And you're like $1 million in the bank, $1 million in the bank, $1 million in the bank, but you can't connect to the energy, then it's probably not serving you. And it could even be disempowering you a bit. But if you're like, hey, look, let me know what $10,000 feels like, and you get close to the energy, you're going to start showing up in a whole new way. You're going to start showing up in a whole new way. Your energy is going to expand. Set that as your new 0 point. And where I work from, my center point, and look, I get frustrated, right? My wife and I, we grow massively together at times through pain and frustration. Just like, I wouldn't say anybody because I don't know how everybody's experience are, but I like a lot of relationships. There's give and take, give and take, give and take. There's so much growth. But if we're swinging so far one way, getting our egos in the way, getting mad, getting triggered, yes, it's a part of it. But if you let that trigger turn that molehill into a mountain, you're going to continue swinging. Right. And there's moments to where I'll look back and I'm like, wow, I stayed in my peace. I stayed in my power. And then everything is fine afterwards. Where 5 years ago, I shared on the podcast early on, episode 005, where I've used to punch some walls. I used to lose my stuff. Like I'd throw stuff and I would lose it. Right. But I'd also get really excited about stuff too. And so now my focus is to stay up. Stay up. Feel good now. Keep feeling better. So that way I'm no longer tipping the scales. And this could sound like the wackiest conversation, but if you slow down enough to see this for yourself, does this play out in your life? Is your pendulum swinging? And how can you do a better job, a more efficient, more effective job of staying in your power, of raising the bar for yourself, whether that be in your relationships or as a parent or in your business. How can you stay in your power? How can you raise that 0 point? This is a big conversation. And I had a conversation with a client of mine. I was actually on a experience, a presentation that he went through. And it was his first time doing an offer like this with his new program. And I could sense that the energy got a little steep. It got a little heavy when he switched to the offer and he started presenting the offer. But he navigated through it. He stayed centered. He stayed present. Because that energy sometimes will eat you alive. There was times before where I was doing a webinar and I just wanted to crawl under a rock and I just wanted to stop. And my mind just stop. Because the energy is so heavy, right? But if you stay in your power, if you stay in your peace, if you work from love, then you'll navigate through it. You won't shake the pendulum up and you'll be all the stronger for it. So let me ask you again, where in life can you center yourself a little bit more? Where in life can you stand in your personal power a little bit more? Be more present, be at peace, come from a place of love. Get the ego out of the way. How can you respond instead of react? How can you start to choose how you show up versus being at the mercy of your circumstances? These are big questions. Big questions. Take a look. At any given moment, we can balance the scales. And this is not about numbing out, checking out. You got it all wrong if that's the conversation you're interpreting as. It's more about the experience. It's more about being present, settled in. Because I'm experiencing things that most people, I'll just say, are oblivious to. That's because I'm settled in. And there's times like, look, I'll lose a month. Sometimes I'm like, where in the heck was I? Like I was in my head and, beating myself up or whatever. I'm human. I do it too. But I've gotten really good at finding my 0 point. And if I get off balance, and I even had a couple of days here, I had a rough night of sleep last night. So I went and shot some hoops today. Went and shot some hoops, got in my body, broke a little sweat, and I even sat in my car for probably like 45 minutes. Could have been working, could have been doing stuff, could have been playing with the little man, but I sat in my car because it was hot in there. I was sweating, I was feeling good, and I just needed to be. I got back to my strength. The little man hurt himself earlier today, and he needed dad to be in his power. Needed dad to be here to hold it down. Because if I'm frustrated or if I'm off or if I'm agitated, then the wheels spin, the pendulum swings, and on we go with this roller coaster. But you have the power, and I want you to see, and I'm going to wrap here. You have the power to steady the ship and to expand from here. It's not about never experiencing things. It's not about never being sad. My wife asked me the other day, we decided to give our dog I think we've had him for 8 years, to her folks because him and the little man were just early on just not getting along. The little man didn't know any better, and sometimes we wouldn't be watching, and he would try to grab the dog's tail, and our dog Q-Tip just didn't like that. So we decided to give the dog to my wife's folks. And my wife asked me, because we just got back from their house, I think it was last weekend or so, she said, do you miss Q-Tip? I said, I don't really interpret it as missing. I said, I had some great moments with him today where I just connected with him and was very present with him. I'm more grateful for our experiences than I am missing him or anything like that. And she thought that was kind of odd. And I was like, I choose not to miss him, but I choose to have gratitude for our experiences and our connections. I mean, because man, that talk about learning a lot from somebody. I learned a lot from that dog. I learned a lot from my buddy Q-Tip. I love that dog. I appreciate that dog. But no, I'm not going to get sad or down in the dumps or anything about it because I'm not planning to swing the pendulum. You guys, yet again, if you're seeing this as I'm centered in love. And I want to continue to raise the vibe in love. I want to continue to elevate and expand love. Not to say I won't get sad. I mean, if something happened to him, I would probably have that emotion, right? And the Miss and I, we have something coming up this week. The little man is having a surgery. And so she's been very stressed about it. And so my mind goes to all the wackadoodle stuff too, but I don't let it. I just send her back. Because if we're both stressing out, right, we're not going to be at our best. I don't function well when I'm stressed. I function a lot better when I'm present. Because if I'm stressed, I'm making sporadic decisions. When I'm present, I can see so much more. And so that's the energy. That's where I choose to hold my energy. And you guys can do the same. But it takes awareness and it takes choice. And I'm still going to celebrate. But it is more just of a growth of energy. It's a growth of good feelings. It's not a celebrate today and tomorrow, but tomorrow's Monday, so I got to be down in the dumps again. No, I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to expand. I'm going to feel good, and I'm going to hold it. I'm going to stay with it. Right? I'm not avoiding anything. I'm experiencing it all. But I want to keep feeling better because the world needs people who are expansive, who have huge hearts, who are here to help people. And so I must stay in my center. I choose to stay in my center. I choose to come back to my 0 point. And you guys can find that for yourself as well. So tune in with yourself. Where is your law of average? Where is your 0 point? Is it kind of frumpy dumpy and or me, or is it kind of just okay? Or is it pretty solid? Can it be better? Can it improve? Can it enhance? And what becomes possible when it does enhance? So food for thought for you guys today. So I'm gonna leave it there. But lastly, I want to say more than anything, this is a conversation around presence and experience versus these fleeting little moments that we put so much emphasis on. I want to be grateful for every moment, not just the moment where something on the exterior world goes my way. I want to experience it all. And I want to expand my energy. So that's what we're here to do. Help each other to expand our own energies. All of our energies are collective energies. And so you can stay in your peace. You can stay in your power. You're going to help more people. That's what we need right now. Don't be getting into the dog fights and the SHIT shows with all the drama and the back and forth and the fighting and the bickering and all that stuff on social media. Yes, stand for something. If that's what you're about, stand for something. Don't allow your emotions to get drawn in, because you're going to go up and down and all around. And that's what, I don't want to be just the next person talking about this, but that's what the media wants. That's what this world wants from us, is for us to be volatile, up, down, all around, not knowing where we are. Know where you are. Find your center. Find your 0 point. Be there now. All right, you guys. Trust that this conversation finds you well. Much love to you. Got more things coming your way. We're actually going to have some more conversations about business, sales, leading with your heart. And I do want to say that we have a 3-part epic live series heading your way, kicking off October 14th, 2021. This series, we're going to break down the three major components of what it takes to get into real heart alignment when it comes to sales. This is my jam. I absolutely love talking about sales because so many people have sales backwards. They think it's icky. You have to be pushy or manipulative, or if you have to do all these weird, wacky things that have actually been taught by crazy people in the industry. And I want to bring this conversation home to you. So you start honoring your gifts, you start honoring your vision, and you start honoring your offers in a brand new way that allows you to stay in alignment and to help more people, to work from alignment and to grow and scale your business. So please join me for this 3-part epic live training series where I'm bringing the goods, sharing it all. You can go to adamkiddoo.com/align because that's what we're here to do, is to help you to get out of your head. Stop trying to figure everything out. Stop thinking you need answers and you need more courses and, all the blueprints and all that stuff, and align with your heart and show up. The answers are all around you. But I'm telling you, if you use your brain only, you're getting in your own way. So let's align with what you really want to create. And let's stand powerfully for the people you're here to help. So yet again, you can go to adamkiddoo.com/align to get registered for this epic live 3-part training series. So thank you. Thank you for being here and listening in to another episode of the Adam Kiddoo podcast. Until next time, lead with love, you guys. The world needs more leaders, heart-centered leaders, now more than ever. So go help somebody today. Much love. Talk to you soon. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Adam Kiddoo podcast. If you would, take a moment to subscribe and click the bell icon so that way you get notified when future episodes air. Now, here's the thing. If you are looking for the show notes, you can find a link to those below. If you're looking for the handles of the guests that I've been interviewing, things of that nature, you'll find that here. And if there's anything else that stood out to you in the episode, or if there's anything I can do for you, please leave a comment below, or for sure message me on Instagram if you'd like, as I'm always looking to hear what's working well for you and what caught your interest about the Adam Kiddoo podcast. So, it's time to go, time to change the world, time to help more people. Are you ready? Let's go do this thing. The world needs more leaders. So thanks again for listening to the Adam Kiddoo podcast.